As an interior designer, the success of my projects is wholly dependent on the professionalism of the builders I work with. And now we're in recession, it's so important to support those builders and preserve their skills, and that's why this campaign is so needed. The UK construction industry is at the foundation of the way we all live and work. Not just our homes, but the roads we drive on, the schools and universities our children learn in, the offices and factories we work in, and the hospitals that care for us. In short, the construction industry is at the heart of everything we do. More than 2 million people in the UK are employed in the construction industry, from labourers to architects, contributing 8.2% to our gross domestic product. But the financial crisis has presented huge challenges, with 300,000 job losses predicted for this year, and 52% of small building firms warning they'll be making staff redundant over the coming months.
The math design and build business has actually been in operation now for the last 34 years. Up to the beginning of this year, I'd grown the company to nearly 20 members of staff. I've actually got 4 trainees, and as they come towards July, they'll be all completing their NVQ level 2. This is what the calendar looks like for the month of February 2009. I'm afraid it's not a very good picture. At this time last year, that page there would have been full to busting now. I've actually tendered for a job which actually is £70,000, but I know another builder has priced that job at £40,000. The customers tell me there is no contract being put in place, and a lot of the work is being done what we term cash in hand, and the builder is not VAT registered. If the government could drop the VAT rate to 5% on house renovations, domestic properties, the difference that would make to a company like mine would be massive, because I feel then that we would be competing with the cowboy builder on a much more level playing field. In the northwest, there is now 58 apprentices been sent back from companies like mine who can no longer fund their wages, and this will be the first year in our history that we won't be taking on any apprentices at all.
If builders aren't working, their tools and materials aren't needed either. This has a severe effect on builders' merchants, as their business just dries up.
This company is Howarth Timber. It's one of the oldest timber and builders merchants in England. It's been going since 1840. Where we are today is Brockley Cross. On a good month we normally have about 70 collections a day, and we do about 20 deliveries. So we have a lot of customers who are buying large houses in the local area and developing them and making them into flats. Literally in the last 6 months we've not seen one of those customers. The overall level of orders is reduced. Certainly we have to be very, very aware of our credit control and credit limits currently. We have a centralised credit control, and we are noticing that a number of larger builders have actually had their credit limits totally withdrawn. I mean, if somebody goes bust, even insured debt, you have to pay for it, and it comes out of your profits, which means our net profit will be reduced.
When builders' merchants' trade dries up, there's a knock-on effect for manufacturers. This has meant factories have had to close, causing more redundancies.
I'm seeing well-invested manufacturing sites being closed, and I'm seeing skilled jobs that have taken decades to create, in some cases, disappearing. And these are jobs and these are capabilities that are simply not going to be recreated. So the first thing that we try to do is slow down manufacture. We allow stocks to build, but in many cases we've got to the stage where we physically can't hold any more stock of materials. We have more than sufficient on hand to meet any kind of foreseeable demand, and regrettably we've had to now move on and physically take out capacity, which we will find it very difficult to restart. We're reported as having a grossly inadequate housing stock in the UK, and a need for something approaching 250,000 new houses per year to try to rectify that situation. The funding and the planning is simply not available to allow us to take advantage of that need. If we can free up the planning and if we can make the funding available, the industry is ready to react and is ready to save jobs and increase productivity to meet the challenge right now.
In New Cross in South East London, a government scheme to regenerate the area has ground to a halt. A large area is being demolished, but the developer had to pull out due to the recession, leaving a hole in the community where council housing used to be.
This area, now totally demolished, was the major scheme that the New Deal for Communities had come up with in this part of Lewisham. There were new facilities for a public library, a new medical centre, a gymnasium and a wellness centre. The buildings exist in this area at present, but they're mainly old buildings scattered all over the place in old houses and really not suitable for the 21st century.
It would have been great for the local community. There's lots of schools and children around here, and it would have been nice to think, I'm a teacher myself, it would be nice to see them having educational facilities, but instead we've got a large empty space, which is kind of bleak. It's a real waste and it's a real shame.
It doesn't have to be an unhappy ending. The government could do so much to kickstart this industry again. A few key legislative changes would get the sector back to work. Cutting VAT on building and maintenance work to 5% would help make home improvements affordable. Improving unused housing, making homes more energy efficient would help the housing crisis and the environment. If building regulations and planning systems could be simplified, it would lead to more renovations and refurbishment work. And how about adopting a graduated stamp duty and reintroducing empty property tax relief? What a difference that would make. That's why a 10-point plan has been drafted by the Get Britain Building Coalition. It will help the industry get Britain building again, giving us the homes we need and the infrastructure essential to see Britain thriving through the 21st century. All we need is the political will to allow the construction industry to do what it does best, build a better Britain.